Hello students, so in this section we are going to look at genre, what is genre and what's the importance of selecting an appropriate or suitable genre for your manuscript. Okay, so first let's look at what is genre. So just imagine you're walking into a bookstore, okay, or even the library, and you see that these books are classified into different types, right? So that is genre. So it's a book classification, and who decides this the classification of this book? So it's often decided by the author. So genre is important because it sets the mood and tone of our book. All right, so let's look at the different types of genres. Okay, so first of all, we have the classics. So classics are usually groundbreaking stories, and they have been around since a long time ago. And for example, they have been around for decades, and these books are impactful not only during their time, okay, but also they continue to be relevant and also to have an impact to the current generation, right? And next we have fantasy. So what is a fantasy? So usually a fantasy is a book which is set in an imaginary world. All right, and we also have imaginary characters. And these fantasy books include elements such as magic, mythology, and also supernatural. Right, so next we have historical fiction. So an example here is Memoirs of Agasha. All right, so historical fiction, it's a fiction, but then it is based on a time period, okay, in the past decade, and often this fiction or this character, all right, is written against the backdrop of a real historical event. All right. So next we have poetry. So as we know, poetry is a form of written art where the poet uses or employs different styles and also rhythm to construct verses. So these verses are to evoke the emotions of the readers. All right. So for poetry, some poems are straightforward where we can find or we can identify the message easily. But some poets, they use imagery or metaphor in their writing in order to convey his or her message. So in that case, the um, the poem is open to an interpretation, okay, of the reader. Okay, so next we have a short story. So short story in essence are shorter than novel. All right, and okay, so these authors of short stories, they write the stories through specific themes and also brief scenes. All right, and also well, we can also find that some of the authors, they compile their narratives in the form of a collection of short stories. Okay, so next one here we have John Lennon. Okay, so we have biography and autobiography. So what's the difference between these two? Okay, so for biography, all right, is an official account of a real person. So usually this is a famous or a prominent person. Okay, so for biography, it is written by an author who is not the subject or it's not the focus of the book. Meanwhile, for autobiography, it is written by the subject themselves. Okay, so here we in this example, John Lennon, the life, Philip Norman. Okay, so this is okay biography, okay, because it is yes, it's about John Lennon, but then it is written by Philip Norman, who is not the subject, right? Okay. So next we have textbook. So what is a textbook? So a textbook is a formal form of writing or uses academic language. Okay, so it is of course non-fiction. So a textbook is a book which is used as a standard material or standard work to teach and learn a particular subject. Right, so we use this in schools and also in at the higher learning institutions. Okay, so next one we have cookbooks. So cookbooks are basically a collection of recipes. Okay, so sometimes these recipes follow a specific theme. So for example, here we have baking with the cake boss, and we can see that here, okay, from the picture we can see that okay, the theme is on the cakes. All right, so some also follow like some festivals, okay, and for example Christmas, okay, or birthday theme. And also we have desserts and also French cooking, for example. Okay, so these cookbooks are written by professional chefs, okay, but also nowadays we can find celebrities also write, okay, or share the recipes. Okay, so next we have thriller. So usually in thriller the writer includes some cliffhangers and also deception, to develop, okay, or to entice suspense in the readers. And usually in thriller we have a hero that attempts to overcome or to defeat a villain or to defeat evil. Right, so these are some of the examples of the genre. So let's look at why is genre important. So genre, okay, so it's not just a classification of your book. So as the author, okay, genre is important for you because it helps you to stay focused. All right, so helps you not to be derailed. All right, so if you're writing, for example, if you're writing a thriller, so of course, all right, so you decide that you're writing a thriller, so of course you want to include some suspense, all right, some cliffhangers and all that in your writing. Okay, and of course it also helps you in your brainstorming process. Okay, so it helps you to identify what are the elements to be included. For example, if you're writing a poem, of course you want to to be aware of the rhythm and of if you want to use some imagery or metaphors in your poem. All right, and of course it increases the readership of your book, okay, because each genre has its own, how to say, target audience, okay, or its own fans. So when your book is categorized in its right genre, so it will attract the right audience. Okay, so for the reader, okay, of course, when we choose, okay, just imagine yourself choosing a book, according to the genre. You go to the bookshop, okay, and you already know what kind of genre that you want to read. So of course, it helps the readers to build certain expectations about a book. So for example, if your genre is short story, so of course the readers would expect that you would have brief scenes in your story, right? And also it is brief or shorter than novels. Okay, and of course, okay, it assists the readers in finding a book because it's already categorized into different categories. Okay, as for the publisher, okay, this will help the publisher in the editing and marketing process, so they would know what kind of language, all right, that you should use in writing. And also for example, for the marketing, they will be able to help you, for example, prepare the materials for marketing, okay, whether you want like, okay, like I mentioned just now, okay, genre helps to increase the readership, helps to reach your right um, your target audience easily. So from, okay, the genre that you have decided, the publisher can also help you decide, okay, the marketing strategy suitable for your genre and also for your target audience. Okay, so let's look at what determines the genre of our book. So of course our writing style. So maybe, all right, so what kind of writing style that you want to employ in your book? Do you want to make it formal? Is it, if you're writing a textbook, of course you want to use formal language and also academic language. Okay, so if you are writing non-fiction, sorry, if you're writing, okay, non-fiction, so that's the textbook. If you're writing fiction, so of course you want to include some dialogues, okay, maybe some you want to be more descriptive in your writing, okay. And next one is the setting. So okay, let's see, if you're writing historical fiction, so of course you have to identify, okay, what um, historical background, okay, what's the backdrop of the story, what historical event that you want to highlight, that you want your character, this fictional character, to live in, okay. So of and also you need to identify your target audience, can also help you identify or determine your genre. So let's say if you want to write a textbook for higher learning institution students, so of course, okay, you want to use language which is more sophisticated, all right. So as compared to writing a textbook for primary school students, for example, so of course you want to use simple language, or maybe you want to use larger fonts, and also you want to use more visuals, all right. And also the format, so what kind of format that you want to use, okay. um, what's the, okay, you have to think about the layout of your book, like I said just now, whether you want to use a lot of images, okay, all right, or maybe it's just all words, okay. um it's just no images, it's just words from the first to the last page. Okay, and also we need to also think about our readers' emotional experience. So what sorts of emotions that you want your readers to feel when reading your book? All right. So do you want them to feel sad, or do you want them to be thrilled, or to feel suspense, okay, when reading your book, or or feel nothing, okay, maybe you just want to inform them, like for example for textbook, of course, okay, it's informative, so the feeling is neutral, so we decide, or you as the writer have to decide what sorts of emotions that you want to evoke in your readers. All right, so in conclusion, all right, each book or every book has a genre, or sometimes some books have a combination of different genres. So as the writer, you need to decide, okay, the genre of your book, because this will give impact, okay, on the content, on your writing style, okay, on the layout, the formatting of your book. And also not only that, it will help in the editing process and marketing. And lastly, of course, okay, when you have um, a genre which is clear, okay, so it will be engaging, and also increase the visibility of your book.